Welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to talk about unfair competition and your competitive disadvantage as an artist. I want to talk about this because this morning I was waking up from the bed and I saw this video on YouTube. It's a student athlete called Selina. She was complaining to the camera about her unfair competition. She would have ranked number 6 in the state final track and field 55 meters as she was running one of the best records she was ever able to run, and she was doing really well. However, there were 2 transgender athletes. They were born men, but now they're competing in the female games after hormonal treatment, and she and the rest of the girls got bumped 2 places down, and only the top 6 were going to the finals, and she lost the opportunity, and she lost also the chances of getting a scholarship to her dream universities as a student athlete. Also the fact that she complained, and as the first and at that time only person to speak out in her state about this unfair competition, she got isolated by a lot of people, she got blamed, and on the internet people were using like kind of verbal violence against her, saying she was a sore loser, she was not running very fast anyway, she was only number 8 and blah blah blah, and she felt like she had an emotional burden, she had a financial burden because she's not having scholarships anymore, and she had all of this burden she had to carry, and she felt like it was all because of the unfair rules of her state allowing those men competing in the women's athlete games. I don't know really how to feel about this specific case because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a track and field expert, but you can see on the video that those born men, those transgender men, who were running significantly faster than the rest of the female athletes, even the top female athletes were like way behind. And from her statement, and you can see her emotion in the video, I totally could connect with her emotionally, because when I was struggling to go to the art school, when I was growing up, and when I was talking with other young emerging artists, I could also see the same faces, same emotions, because a lot of artists told me that they received unfair treatment and unfair competition, and it was such a unfair game for them to compete in. I totally get it because I feel sometimes the same. For example, when I was traveling in Thailand, I met a very cute girl, is a Thai artist, and she told me that her dream is to travel the world and become an international artist, but she was not able to get a visa to the States because the immigration officer told her that she had a more chance of not coming back ever again, staying in America, in a developed country, marrying a man, have babies, and never come back to Thailand. And they rejected her visa. Although she could have had a successful career in the US, she couldn't pursue it, and she had to stay in Thailand, and she felt it was really unfair because of the bias, because of all this racial, national bias against, also gender bias, because she told me if she was a boy, then it would have not been the same. I also had a talk with a Peruvian artist in Spain, and he told me that he had been kind of biased against as a Latin American artist, and he was not treated fairly, and he felt like he should have the equal treatment because he had this cultural heritage from Spain, the colonial father of Latin America, and he felt like he's very frustrated, and he was complaining to me. I totally get it. I also felt the same being a Chinese citizen, a female, a creative person, and I feel like I didn't have the fair playground to compete against other people in my age, other people in my discipline. But I want to talk about it in a more positive way in this video. Of course, people were born with disadvantages, even with disabilities, and nobody would guarantee a fair playground for everybody. There will always be people who have competitive advantage because of their family background, like Paris Hilton. She could be a fashion designer one day, actress, model another day, and because of her resources, her family name, Hilton, of course, she would have a lot more advantages than a random artist, a random model, a random person in the world. And it's like this is life. As I grew up, I realized this is life, but what can we do? This is really the topic. Is when you face unfair competition and you have, or you were given this disadvantage, although that for you didn't do nothing. you were having this unfair treatment, how do we do? And this is why I want to make this video. I want to give you some like kind of confidence. I want to tell you that the Thai artists in Thailand, finally she graduated from university, she married a German boy that she was dating, and she moved to Germany, and she changed her family name, and now just by looking at her name you would not have guessed that she was a Thai artist. You could easily mistaken her for a German artist very well, and could be like a Asian German artist or mixed race artist, and she could have like fake artist names too, but because of her family, her new family, she could have access to the developed world, and she could live in the places she wants to live, and it's a very positive thing for her, and she's not breaking the law or anything, and she would be just living the life she wanted, and that's very good. With the Peruvian artist, he also get some opportunities. This Arco, the special theme was Peru, and he went to Arco and he networked with Peruvian collectors, art dealers and other Peruvian artists, and he made himself new friends, and now he's not that lonely, he's not that isolated as a Latin American artist, and he had his inner circle, and hopefully now he's doing very well because he had this support from his hometown community in Spain. And now coming back to the athlete Selina, what could she do to use her disadvantage as her advantage? Her goal is to get into universities with a scholarship, and she could do this by academia, she could do it with merit with athletes like medals. She could become a figure, a young political figure to change things around in the track and field field. I mean, track and field sounds weird, but she could become like a leader, an opinion leader in her field, saying, look, we believe that for women to compete against transgender women is not fair. For those poor transgender people who are struggling to have a right to compete in the games and get blamed and bashed and get thrown eggs at is not fair either. So let's make a fair game. You have the Olympics, you have the Paralympics, you have the Special Olympics. Why don't we make a transgender Olympics and make a special division for them so they can compete among themselves and make friends and have their own community, and we can accept it within the category of students athlete games, but with their own division, which could be a very positive thing for everybody. She could turn this opportunity into something positive, become a leader. She could really connect with more people, maybe make an NGO and connect with other athletes who are facing similar experiences, or even directly connect with transgender athletes, and hand in hand together create organizations that promote equal treatment that is fair for both transgender kids and for non-transgender kids, so that everybody could play their own fair games. And I think this could be a thing that she could become such a leader like the environmentalist from Sweden, and she could get scholarships this way. She could become the next generation politician, athlete politician, and have her own career in that. And she could turn this as a great opportunity into a career. I'm not saying that she didn't do enough. She is doing great by speaking out loud her own opinions and not afraid of what other people judge her. This is very positive already. We are in the land of freedom of speech. Very well, just speak out. But she could have used her communication more smartly, provide solutions as well, not just complaints, and join more people, join forces, not just joining for the females in that competition who got bumped 2 places down, but join forces with transgender people, join with men, join with women, with kids, you can join forces and use smart communication to turn your disadvantages into your advantages. And this is something we could all learn. And we could all learn. If you feel like, you were born in such a disadvantaged situation, think about it. How can you use communication or use other means within the law permits you? How can you do it to turn things around 180 degrees and have your disadvantage as your weapons to strive to achieve the things you want to achieve? And this should be the lessons for us, instead of just crying for, I don't have a fair competition. This is what I want to say today. Thank you very much for listening. If you have other opinions or ideas, leave me a comment below. That's all for today. See you in the next video.